Did you know, as stated on mentalfloss.com by Katie Erbland, that hot chocolate was the first chocolate treat? It actually started as a hot bitter drink and eventually evolved to something sweet. But chocolate is so much more than just something sweet. But my favorite way of using it is with baking. So we're going to talk about that today. When money's tight or if you have to bring something last minute to a party, one of the recipes I like to turn to is chocolate haystacks. I have actually been making these for more than 5 years, making different combinations, just adding different types of chocolates, adding different add-ins, even adding different drizzles. Since it is such a rich dessert, I've had to make different ways of making it not so rich or adjusting to people of different taste buds. To this day, it's always been a hit. The recipe I use derives from attapinch.com and then it grows from there. If baking isn't your specialty, if money's tight, or if you just want to bring something delicious to the gathering that you made, this recipe is perfect for you. The only cooking that really takes place is melting chocolate chips in the microwave, so if you want to cook with your children, it's almost impossible to ruin and requires little to make. So let's start with the basic ingredients and tools. So we're going to start off with chocolate chips. I like to use semi-sweet Nestle. The brand usually doesn't matter, and you can really use whatever you want. I've even seen butterscotch used. I just prefer semi-sweet, so it's not as sweet. For this recipe, I am actually going to be using 12 ounces, but you can use 24 ounces to yield about 48 haystacks based on how big you make them. Then you're going to need chow mein noodles. It's not the type that you cook. It's actually ones that you can either put on salads, you can just snack on it. It is found in the Oriental aisle usually, and you'll need about 2 cups to make about 48 of them. Then for the basic tools, you are going to need a medium microwavable bowl. I like to use plastic, but you can also use glass. Then you are going to need a metal spoon. This is completely optional, but I use a ice cream scooper to help scoop the haystacks. It's completely up to you if you want to use that or not. Then you are also going to need a cookie sheet pan. Then you're also going to need parchment paper. I do not recommend aluminum foil at all, as if the haystacks stick to it, it can get a little tricky to pull them off. So since my husband is a chocolate peanut butter fan, I will actually be adding peanut butter chips. I usually only recommend adding about a cup of these or a cup and a half so that it's not overwhelming. And then I will also be adding caramel syrup for a drizzle on top. Okay, so first off, we are going to start with melting our chocolate chips in our microwave bowl. So you can also double broil this on the stove if that's what you prefer. Just make sure you have a bowl that's prepared for it. I just like to use the microwave because it's quick and easy. Everyone usually has one. So we are going to microwave this in 30-second increments and stir it every single time until it becomes a smooth, chocolatey consistency. Okay, so now that our chocolate is melted, we are going to be adding our chow mein noodles. So I start out with 2 cups just to get started on it. And so then you're just going to stir it up until it's completely mixed. Okay, so I did a whole bag of the 6-ounce chow mein noodles with the 12-ounce chocolate chips. It's completely covered, and since I'm going to be adding a cup of the Reese's Pieces, I'm not going to add any more of the chow mein noodles. So I'm going to add the cup of Reese's Pieces into this as well, and then stir that up until it's completely covered. Okay, we are all stirred and completed. So now our very next step to do is to scoop this onto our parchment sheet and to let it cool. Another way you can do it instead of having big globs or little small globs is to put it all out on the parchment paper and spread it out as little like bark almost. It does give a thinner texture, which is nice, especially if you have a lot of young ones or a lot of old ones that can't really chew through such a big glop. So we're gonna get started scooping. So now that the haystacks are made, you're just going to let them cool until they are completely cooled and hardened. You can either just let them sit on the counter for a little while, or you can also put it into the fridge for about 30 minutes or the freezer for about 10 minutes. If you have any leftovers, you're going to put it into an airtight container, and they can last up to about 4 to 5 days based on what is in it. But if you do have any toppings, I like to wait about 5 to 10 minutes before you put it on top. Let the haystack kind of come up with structure, then add it on top and let it completely cool. So some creative ways that are really cool about this recipe is that it's so simple, you can add anything. For example, I added peanut butter pretty much and caramel to mine. I like it because it tastes pretty much like a Take 5 bar. Some other ways I've done is like a s'mores version with marshmallows on the inside with graham cracker crumbs on the top. Even adding chopped up almonds and coconut, so it's almost like a almond joy. You can really add anything. It doesn't really affect the recipe. So now that you have watched my demonstration, I hope that you have learned the main ingredients and optional ones for the chocolate haystacks, have learned these steps, and also some different ways that you can make this recipe your own. I have made this recipe many times over the last few years and with the help of Add a Pinch. Now you can take this recipe and make it your own and be the new hit of every party.